Well, moving along, Amazon suspended 50 workers who refused to work after a warehouse fire. Gonna keep it brief. Aaron, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So, I mean, part of me when I read this was like, oh shit, was this set on fire on purpose, like an arson kind of thing? Or, was it an accident that just happened to be at the most politicized warehouse in America?
I mean, look, you got all the things you need to start a fire probably in that warehouse,
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably find a flamethrower in that warehouse.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah. We got the wood on aisle 12 and the flamethrower aisle 3.
Right.
Welcome to the Politically Asian Podcast. We're just two Asian American comedians talking about politics and the Asian American community in hopes of getting more Asians to talk about politics. We're coming at you live from Brooklyn, New York. My name is Aaron Yin. My pronouns are he, him, and you can find me on social media at Aaron Flarin. That's AARONFLARIN. And my co-host.
Hey, my name is Jerry Lim. My pronouns are they, them. And you can find me across the internet at Jerryaki. That's GERRIEYAKI.
All right, we're going to start the episode off with our opening segment, Practice What You Preach. So on this podcast, we talk about politics, but it's also important to do things in real life. So each week, Jerry and I talk about one thing we did in real life related to politics or organizing. So I'll go first this week. So over the past year and a half, I've been picketing in front of the Museum of Chinese in America. And in May, myself, and 7 others got some court summons from NYPD for making excessive noise. I'm looking at my ticket again. It says, the NYPD, they're like, I observed this person engaged in protest on a public street by forcefully banging on a bucket/drum in an excessive and unusually loud manner for approximately 10 minutes. So that happened back in May, and my court hearing for that was this past Monday, October 3rd. So that's what's been occupying my mind a lot this past week, and I won't know what happens until 1 month. That's how long it takes the judge to make a decision.
And what could happen when the judge makes his decision? Like, what can happen to you?
So it's, let's see, the lower mail-in penalty on this slip says $450. The maximum penalty says $3,000, which is a lot of money.
That's rent.
It's like 2 or 3 months of rent. But the good news is we do have someone from the National Lawyer Guild, and he's like, no, that's not accurate at all. Like, the maximum penalty is like $75 now for this kind of stuff. So that's a lot better, but we'll see what happens.
Wait, does that mean the ticket, like the instructions on the ticket just haven't been updated? Because he said it's 75, and then the ticket says, well, the lowest is 450.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, maybe this is kind of outdated in terms of the law, but like, he's saying 75, and so I'm like, okay, well, I trust you. That is now 75. You're the lawyer. Yeah, maybe NYPD is also not up to date. I'm not exactly sure. That's TBD after we find out what happens.
Oh, okay. Well, I remember you telling me that one of your friends that you protest with already got their decision, and I was just kind of wondering why why the judge can't copy and paste the answer or like the result to you too.
Yeah, so one of my friends, like, she got her case dismissed, and the main issue is that, dude, and why this is kind of a huge, pot of bullshit is in order to even give a summons like this for like a sound or noise law, you need to first measure how loud the noise is. And like, my ticket says, oh, he was being excessively and unusually loud, right? Which is so objective. But like, for her ticket, they scribbled down even more vague things like, oh, she was being excessively loud or too loud. So depending on what the officer writes on the slip, it could be even easier for dismissal if you have even fewer details for the judge to even go off of.
Yeah, that's kind of stupid that it was just 10 minutes. Like, Block parties last longer than that. You know,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of things that are louder and last a lot longer than, you know, drumming for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Also, our chanting is louder than the drumming. And I'm not even sure why you put this on here because how long you drum is also not a. It's not like how you break the law, right? Like there's
Right.
no law that says you if you go past 10, you know, you get a summons, but if you're under 10, you're fine. Like this is it's just making up a whole bunch of shit. That's and so hopefully this will be dismissed just like the first person's was.
You know what it is, dude? It's because your chanting is on beat and your drumming probably wasn't.
Oh, no, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, but that was my week. What were you up to?
Yeah, so I went to the DSA branch meeting. If you don't know, I went to the DSA 101 meeting last week, and that was in person, and it was somewhat chaotic. So the advice was to go to a branch meeting, and I was like, all right, sure. I didn't go in person, which I think would have made a difference. Because there were some audio issues. It was over Zoom if you did it, you know, virtually. And the biggest thing was that there was a lot of socializing. Like there was a good hour before the meeting actually started that people could come in and like eat pizza. And it made me think about like how I feel like the point of DSA at this point is to like foster a social club or like maybe just like a community of people with leftist politics.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just concerning because it's pretty white. Or B, it's the reverse where it's like a bunch of white people who are looking for ways to like emulate community the same way people of color do.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember saying like this is their version of the potluck or something.
Yeah.
The pizza party. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the socializing sounds okay, like kind of fun, where like so you're not just coming in and out of meetings. What did you all talk about in the meeting?
Yeah, so this meeting was devoted primarily to the New York City DSA annual convention, which is the convention, like the meeting where all the DSA branches across New York come together, or like the elected officials of New York City DSA come together and they modify constitutions and practices.
Wait, they have a constitution, like it's like founding fathers kind of thing. That's wow, that's wild. Have you read the Constitution yourself? Was that required?
No, I can barely sit through the slideshow that they do in every single meeting. Like every meeting I've gone, well, I've only gone to 2 so far, but they have slide decks for every single meeting, and it feels like I'm doing work, like work at the office, you know, because every meeting at work also has like a slide deck. So
yeah, that sounds so corporate.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the structure of DSA kind of holds it back. Like I get the concept, and like maybe you can speak more about this in regards to your organizing, but I feel like when you elect people to positions of power in organizing and volunteer spaces, the people who aren't in positions of power don't really feel the need to like take initiative, or maybe it even prevents people from taking initiative because they don't want to step on people's toes.
Yeah. I mean, for us, like, I mean, I guess the group I'm with is like Youth Against Displacement. It's only about like 20-ish people, but yeah, there's no voting, there's no titles. It's just whoever has time to do this will do it. And I mean, we often have the other issue where we need more people, but yeah, we never had a vote for anything. That's so funny. It also, I feel like that just turns everything into a popularity contest too. Like you're less focused on trying to get something done and more just focused on like, I want this title for myself.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I will say that, you know, DSA New York City says that it's like 90,000 people big, which was like, that was their count like last year, I think. Which, you know, if there isn't some sense of order to that, I can see how there's, you know, it's hard to organize that a little bit more than like 20 people. But
Yeah.
I still feel like to have so much structure, like there's like branch chairs, working org chairs, you know, scheduling this, doing that, you know, yeah, it just doesn't feel I don't know. I think it stops people from like being like, oh, well, no one else is going to do this. No one is going to work with this community, or like people can't have like their own projects. And like,
Yeah,
you
I
know what
mean,
I'm saying?
it sounds like it's turning you off. I'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see, because I'm gonna go to the healthcare working group meeting next week. So we'll see how that goes. I already got the details for it, and it is purely virtual. So we'll see.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And nice. Well, I'll keep in touch and see how it goes. I'll say it is very fun hearing about everything from the outside. I'll say.
Yeah. All right. Well, this week in Asian American news, Constance Wu is back on social media and Hollywood. She wrote a new book, and she had an interview with Jada and Willow Smith where she discussed how she was sexually harassed on the set of Fresh Off the Boat, along with like mental health issues that she's had in the past couple years, and calling out or discussing representation. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So, I guess for some context for people who are kind of out of the loop. So about 3 years ago, when Fresh Off the Boat was renewed, maybe for its second or third season.
Sixth. It was like
sixth?
its sixth.
Oh, really? Okay.
Fresh Off the Boat was on TV for like 6 years.
It was in 2019, May 2019. It was renewed, and it was confusing. I mean, I would say to myself included, because Constance Wu was tweeting that like, "Oh, I'm so upset right now. I'm literally crying. This renewal was, fucking hell." And so it was a very confusing time because everyone seemed to be celebrating the renewal, but she was not. And so that was what, caused a lot of the uproar. She did clarify a day later that she was upset because the show's renewal meant that she had to turn down some more exciting projects, which I understand from like a creative point of view, right? Because sitcoms, you're just playing the same person all the time. But in movies or something else, you can be more dynamic and three-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the context. I would say my one thought on the whole red table talk and her coming back is I had no idea how many other Asian actors were also shit-talking her. Like, she called out Simu Liu explicitly because he had made a joke at this gala in front of a lot of people. Because she was going into that gala being like, oh, they won't make fun of me. But then he made like a joke on a very public stage. And so I'm like, damn, this shit's rough. That's my first thought on it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, now that you pulled up the screenshot and full context of the tweets, I will say it's complicated. I can only imagine like if a producer on that show was not if, but the fact that a producer on that show is sexually harassing her, I can only imagine why she would be pretty upset that she would have to return to that as a workplace.
Oh, yes, that too.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I think she's like really strong because like if people were telling me like, I used to be suicidal a couple years back in grad school. So the moral of the story is don't go to grad school. But that was like something that I struggled with by myself in silence. But if I had people telling me that like I should do it, I should kill myself. And then furthermore, if they were Asian comedians saying, you're not funny, you're bad for the community, kill yourself, I would have done it. Yeah. I would have fucking done it. Oh, man.
It is rough because, I mean, Simu was only one of them, but Constance was saying there were some other Asian actresses who were saying, oh, Constance, you are a blight on the Asian community. And so it sounds really rough. And obviously, when she explained it more a day later, that didn't get anywhere near the traction of her initial tweets. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it sounds tough. And the whole sexual harassment thing with the producer sounds really bad. I kind of hope that he's not working in Hollywood anymore. I'm like, yeah. Is this guy on other Asian American shows now? Was he on Kim's Convenience? And that's one question that pops in my head.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think Constance bringing this up is really good because, we always talk about Asian people who are obsessed with representation and only talking about positive examples of Asian in media. And Constance is kind of saying like, look, like even in Asian media, there's a lot of, bad shit going on and we shouldn't be afraid to call it out.
Yeah, I agree. I think what's scary is that it was an Asian producer and I mean, I feel like that's not all skinfolk or kinfolk to
Yeah.
the core.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that like ties into her, she also had some comments about how the conversation is too focused on positive representation and just needs whole human representation, which includes talking about the internalized misogyny that she experienced in her backlash. Low key, I feel like when like I see dudes talking about Constance Wu, or really when I see Constance Wu discourse, it's like never good. It's never anything good about her. And honestly, I kind of feel like it proves her point.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's also like hard because, Fresh Off the Boat was like the first show at the time to be like an Asian American TV show, right?
Yeah.
In a long time. So, I mean, I feel like if this happened nowadays, it would be easier to point something out now that there's like Kim's Convenience, Fresh Off the Boat, all these movies going on. But back then, yeah, tough to be the first.
Yeah. And I mean, okay, wow. I feel like we have come. I mean, to be fair, it was 6 years ago, but we have come really far to think like, like Fresh Off the Boat. That was the first show. And then like now we have like all these other forms of media and that kind of thing. But I will say that it felt like people were mad at her because they were like, oh, like people are going to lose jobs. This is an Asian American show, like blaming her for the cancellation of it.
Yeah.
Which you can't really say, I feel like you can't really say is directly her fault, right? Because if you look at the numbers, which are readily available online, the first season of Fresh Off the Boat had way more viewers than the last season. Like it was like by the last season, it was less than half of the viewers.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Fresh Off the Boat turned into Sinking Boat. So that's
exactly. Yeah.
Constance saw that. I was like, I need to leave this. Yeah, this is Titanic territory now.
Right. And I mean, like, Eddie Huang left the show. Like, the show was literally about him and his life based off his book. And at the end, he called it an ambiguous cornstarch story about Asian Americans. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
he was like, I wanted HBO style. They gave him ABC. So,
right.
Yeah. But it is true that, like, I get that he's the show creator. But, yeah, he definitely didn't get as much shit for complaining and dropping out as opposed to, Constance, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, welcome back, I guess, to Asian internet, Constance.
Yeah, Asian internet. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right. Moving on to the next piece of news we have. So this is an article that was published in the Washington Post titled "Coastal Cities in Parts of Asia Are Sinking Fastest." So the summary is that this university, Nanyang Technological University in Singapore, they found that 48 of the most densely populated cities, many of which are in, East Asia, Southeast Asia, are like sinking a lot quicker due to, climate change and something going on with the soil and the ocean. Jerry, what are your thoughts on this?
Bad.
Yeah, very bad.
Very bad.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm very bad because there are a lot of, I don't know if people have looked at a map lately, but a lot of Southeast Asia are islands. The Philippines. I mean, I bet the reason why Singapore did that study is because they're like, we're an island. Like, what's?
Yeah,
we should be keeping up with this.
Yeah. Is this study about us? Yeah.
Am I the main character?
Yeah, it's pretty serious for a lot of, especially Southeast Asian countries. And I guess one concrete example is, Indonesia. So they're taking this so seriously that they are actually moving their capital from Jakarta, which is where it currently is, to a newer city called Borneo, which is more inland and also in this current jungly foresty region. But just imagine, it's so serious that we're literally moving our capital city.
I mean, hey, Washington D.C. is like kind of close to the water. Like, I feel like this could happen to us too.
Yeah, exactly. It could. Yeah, I was thinking for New York City specific. I'm like, I'm so glad they made the capital of New York way upstate and way inland.
Dude, who cares about Albany? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly.
Manhattan's an island, right?
Yeah.
And like Brooklyn and Queens are like peninsulas.
Yeah, we'll get wrecked though if our capital city was here. But
yeah,
Indonesia, yeah, straight up just island. I mean, to be honest, I'm wondering, like, okay, I understand you're moving it a little bit inland, but you're still surrounded by water.
Yeah, and like you mentioned that it's a pretty jungle. Like I imagine there's a lot of trees in this area that we're talking about in Borneo, and they're probably gonna have to cut down a lot of them. Wouldn't that make stuff worse, environmentally speaking?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it sounds like it sounds like there's no good choice, right? It's like you either just stay you're flooded or have a barren wasteland. And it's, yeah, okay, well, I just kind of wish there was a door number 3 right now, but
Yeah, I don't know what people are supposed to do. Like if you're like an island country, and then like most of these countries rely on like fossil fuels,
yeah.
which, I imagine exasperates the problem. But it's like, what do you expect them to do? Like the Philippines is, they don't, I know like a lot of Southeast Asian governments don't, like environment is the last thing they spend money on. Why pay, like why get solar panels when you could build a fucking new road?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's tough because like America and a lot of Western countries, they also aren't really prioritizing climate change, but it's just that like when Southeast Asia doesn't do it, they suffer the consequences more. But it's also harder because you don't have as much money.
Yeah. Dude, we're all going to have to move to like Kansas.
Yeah. Or Arkansas and Alabama are home states.
No, hey, Alabama's coastal. Okay. Arkansas,
really?
y'all are the landlocked ones. Alabama's got 2 little feet in the water. So, it's probably going to go under too.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh, that's pretty depressing. But yeah, it's hard because there's another article that we talked about related to this, or that we read. It's called Southeast Asia Can't Afford Climate Backsliding. And it's just talking about how because of first the pandemic, but also because of the whole situation with Russia and Ukraine, like, oil is more expensive. And so it's harder on these countries that rely on oil and coal still. Yeah, it's just really hard to adapt to climate change while also trying to survive.
Yeah, I remember in like Dubai, they built those islands. I wonder if like, I don't know, like they're going to have just like build the land themselves and expand the island out,
Yeah, those artificial ones. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think we got the money to do that though.
Yeah, what I'm taking away from this is that, the country's suffering from the negative effects of climate change, whether it's Southeast Asia or, the floods in Pakistan. The countries suffering from climate change are not the ones contributing the most to climate change, like not even per capita.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes I feel like, I don't know, man, ancient Europeans had like a vision where they're like, oh, the sea levels, they're going to rise one day. How can we make sure our descendants get ahead? And that's why they decided to colonize everyone.
Oh, yeah.
To steal the shit to get ahead and then be like, all right, good luck, guys.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious because, I mean, England, the whole UK, that's also an island too, right? I don't know much about how it's affected, though.
Oh, that's true. I mean, it's already cold up there, right? So I feel like it's more temperate places, hotter places where the sea levels are rising.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
We're just making shit up.
Yeah, we're just kind of speculating about water.
Yeah.
All right. Before we start making any more outlandish claims, I'm gonna move us along. The next item on our docket is the Democrat-led Texas city of El Paso. It has been sending a lot of migrants up to New York, which is causing a housing crisis. I believe Eric Adams declared a state of emergency, and it's outpacing Republican effort. This is an idea by Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I know that, Greg Abbott and DeSantis, they made the news like a month ago because of this. But I was really surprised to hear that like a Democratic city was also doing this, and they had been doing way more. Like some numbers, it's like El Paso has, bused roughly 7,000 migrants to New York City since August, and also about 1,800 to Chicago. They're saying the only difference on the Democratic side is that the migrants are taking the buses voluntarily and they're treating them nicer, whereas Greg Abbott and DeSantis were, lying to the migrants, which they were, and randomly flying them to Martha's Vineyard and promising them all these jobs and housing that they, were not guaranteed.
The fact that that's like the whole nice thing is the only difference reminds me of those pictures. It's like a Republican bomb is just a bomb, and then a Democrat bomb is like a bomb with like flowers and rainbows on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, if you're still listening to this podcast right now, thank you for making it this far. Just want to do a quick shout out, quick plug. If you like our podcast, please take a few seconds on your phone to go to Apple or Spotify and click 5 stars. That really helps us out. And if you really want to support us, also you can feel free to donate on Patreon at patreon.com/politicallyasian. We're currently raising money to, provide episode transcriptions, get a video editor, and more. All right, back to the episode. I'm not exactly sure how voluntary it was, were they properly informed in their own language that this is what was happening? That's what I'm not sure about. So it's like when you say we were treating them nicer, I take it a little bit with a grain of salt right now. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I know that the migrants had to fill out like this waiver essentially that was like, I will not sue like this city, state, whatever, for shipping me off to the middle of fucking nowhere, or I don't know where I'm going, blah, 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 blah. It was all in English and there were no Spanish translations. Keep in mind, these people I'm pretty sure most of them do not speak Spanish, do not speak English. And then they had them like sign their names on it. And that was it. That's, yeah, just to cover their ass kind of thing.
Yeah, no bueno. That's bad. That sounds really bad. I think this story in general is always good to bring up because a lot of conservatives, including conservative Asians, really hate quote illegal immigrants. Right? They're always like, oh, we came here on a green card or an H-1B visa, something like that. Why can't everyone just wait in line peacefully? So, I'm always interested in these stories for that reason.
Yeah, but the thing is like these people aren't illegal though, right? Like they've been processed by Customs and Border Protection and they're classified as asylum seekers.
Yeah.
So like not only are they here legally, like by US standards, they are here legally by United Nations standards,
Yeah.
So they're literally coming here legally.
Yeah.
Like as legal as you could get.
Yeah. I feel like I need to talk to my mom about this because every single time I read one of these pieces of news, I just think about her complaining about this. I was also just going to say that, East Asian people do this as well, but it's just harder. But if you go on Google and you search, shipping container Chinese or shipping container Asian, you will read some articles here and there about primarily Chinese people trying to also come to America through these shipping containers, normally in upstate of Washington, though it doesn't work out nearly as well because the trip is much longer. Yeah,
that's fucking wild. I can't imagine, how I don't even know how long that takes, like by boat, because by plane it's already long.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's I don't want to say it's a privilege, but I will note that one thing that is an advantage for the refugees coming from the South is that Central and Southern America are connected to the U.S. physically by land. There's a giant ocean between us and Asia.
Yeah.
So
we're going to need some artificial islands, just
right.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, there's always that nerd out there that's like, well, actually, in the winter when it freezes, you can cross through Russia into Alaska through the Bering Strait.
Yeah, yeah. Just like in the world history textbooks.
Right, like the cavemen did.
Yeah. Truly connecting with our ancestors, from a long time ago. Yeah. Respect your earliest ancestors.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm kind of interested in articles that will follow up with any migrants that were sent from Texas to the U.S. Because right now we're just hearing a lot of the initial news that they're just being sent to New York City or being sent to Chicago, and I guess there's some in Martha's Vineyard. But I'm like, how are they doing afterwards?
Yeah, I think my last note on this is that there have been some articles talking about how busing them to more liberal cities is done on taxpayer dollars. So the migrants aren't paying a penny. And some progressives are saying that this move by DeSantis/Abbott is so conservative, it's kind of progressive because it's a free transit system to more liberal states that could probably handle these migrants, better. There are communities up here. And all better support systems.
Yeah, exactly. That was a big thing when DeSantis and Abbott did that. they thought by sending the migrants to Martha's Vineyard, no one would take care of them. But, they underestimated white liberals and the white savior and the white savior complex, right? Everyone at Martha's Vineyard was like, oh, this is our moment to give people, to take care of people, to show that we're the good whites.
Right. Yeah, this is an upgrade from the black squares. It's actually doing something.
Yeah. All right. And the next thing that we have on the agenda, we're talking about the internet, and specifically disinformation and radicalization. So, I'm sure we all have a family member who's really into QAnon or really into, conservative shit. I mean,
who's in your family, man?
Asian QAnon, dude. Conservatives and QAnon, that's like hand in hand. Maybe not like the most severe types, right? Like, like. There were some Vietnamese people at January 6th,
Okay, yeah. Okay. Representation matters. Okay.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure, we all know the negative impacts of getting radicalized online through like YouTube, WhatsApp, WeChat, etc. So there's this new case in the Supreme Court right now debating this. The case specifically is called Gonzalez versus Google. And it's by the family of Nohemi Gonzalez, who is a 23-year-old American in Paris, who was killed by ISIS in Paris. And her family, it wants to sue Google because they're saying this wouldn't have happened if people had not been radicalized on YouTube by ISIS. Like, ISIS had hundreds and hundreds of videos trying to recruit people, and they're saying these videos radicalized people who watched them and led to this type of crime. Jerry, what is one thought you had about this?
No, sorry, I'm giving you two. One, ISIS has a Google, like a YouTube account. Like, ISIS is a YouTuber. Oh, yeah. And then second, I can't wait to sue TikTok for sending me a really stupid video.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess so. Okay, let me quickly look on.
Are you looking up ISIS on YouTube?
Yes. Okay, at least when I search on it now, I don't see any accounts pop up. So I guess YouTube has done some stuff since then. But yeah, I remember like for a while they were doing public videos, right? A lot of like gruesome shit, like killing people, right? But I remember they had a pretty active online presence before. It's interesting because the case that they're debating, like, there are laws protecting tech companies right now when there's bad stuff posted online. Like, you can't sue a tech company for having something bad online. You also can't sue a tech company for removing a bad thing online. So, like, a white supremacist group cannot sue Twitter for taking down white supremacist content. But the gray area is that, like, no one knows what to do when an algorithm is actively promoting bad stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be optimistic, but I don't think they're going to win this lawsuit, because it feels like tech companies kind of always win, and lawmakers and judges just can't keep up with technology to like understand it or interrogate it properly in a court of law.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm like, yo, how is Facebook still around right now? Didn't you all
commit genocide? My bad, instigate a genocide?
Yeah, genocide in Myanmar. And then there was that whole Cambridge Analytica thing during Trump's first election. Separate thing with Facebook whistleblowers and data. But I agree. Like, it seems like they always get slaps on the wrist.
Yeah, I do think if they win, that would be a huge blow to tech companies, because they hide behind that, oh, we're just the platform defense all the time, like for literally anything. Like if you call Airbnb and you're like, hey, this like Airbnb host was like super racist to me, you can't do it. You can't sue Airbnb. You can't do anything to Airbnb for that. Like they can only punish that host, and that's it. That's all that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested because I was mentioning earlier, like, this whole case is around algorithms, right? Like, algorithms actively promoting bad stuff. So you're not just like a passive platform, like your algorithms, giving you that nudge all the time. And I was like, okay, if this case is about algorithms, does that mean every tech company actually has to show what its algorithm is? Like the Krabby Patty formula kind of thing. I'm like,
yeah,
that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, I would. I see. I need that. I need them to win because I wanna see the inside of this of the TikTok algorithm. Like,
Yeah.
let me know. Let me know when the best time to post is because we're all just making stuff up right now.
Exactly. We need to learn how to go viral. That's why we support this case. Yeah.
Oh man. So which would you rather have as your overlord? The federal government controlling what you watch or big tech?
I will say, okay, maybe slightly spicy. I was thinking about this. I will very, very slightly choose government because it's not always the same. You know, like with political parties and the composition of our Supreme Court changing a little bit. I feel like tech companies are very conservative and always leaning towards pro free speech, limited prosecution no matter what. But I feel like with governments, okay, maybe there's a slightly better chance, but it really does feel like pick your poison, and maybe the impact overall on us doesn't even matter. Like it's still the same no matter what.
Right, constipation or diarrhea.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, what are your thoughts? What would you pick?
Okay. I would rather have the government, and this is why. Because one, I would know it's the government. The content would be bad. It would be poor technology. Like, I would know just to ignore it and seek out the resources myself, you know? Yeah, I feel like tech companies are getting really good at being sneaky. They hide behind, I think they hide behind liberalism a lot better than the government does.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, another benefit is that if the government's in charge, they will actually have to learn how social media works. Like,
yeah.
For context, like we were briefly discussing the Facebook trials again, and some of these senators just had absolutely no idea what was going on. Like back when Facebook was on trial, one senator was like, "Okay, so Facebook is free. Users don't have to pay. So how do you all make money?" And Mark Zuckerberg was like, "Senator, we run things called ads." And I was like, fuck. Oh, no. Fuck. We're at this level. This is where we're at.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I'm like...
turn it off and then turn it on again.
Exactly.
Blow into the cartridge.
Yeah. Yeah. Just send yourself a password reset. It feels like that level of tech discussion. I'm like, no, we need you all to learn a little bit more. Otherwise, like, you only have 5 minutes to grill people during these big hearings. So you got to upgrade yourself a little bit first in your knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you remember this. There was this like scandal. I don't remember when, but Joe Biden used Venmo to like Venmo someone something, and it was like public, like people could see it, which turned out to be like a huge security like thing because he's the president of the United States and you can see his Venmo transactions. And he didn't know how to turn them off.
I'm very curious what it was about. It's like I don't know, weed. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
God, this happened last year. Holy shit! I can't believe this happened last year. It feels like I was like, maybe he was just vice president at the time. No, he was literally the president. Oh God. Yeah, they found his secret Venmo. I feel like it wasn't even that much of a secret. Like it's literally his picture.
It was for weed. That's why he was trying to decriminalize it a little bit more.
Right.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I do think it's important that we have politicians who understand how to use social media, which sounds so sad, but this is 2022. This is where we are, and I think that's like I feel like that played a really big role in like why AOC became so well known as a politician besides, beating like an incumbent Democrat who had that seat for like 20 years. Just like the power of social media, and she knows how to use it. She like frequently does Instagram lives and like talks with people. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I remember when she first got elected. It was really fun, just like reading all the Instagram stories, like, oh, behind the scenes, this is what this hall looks like. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It was genuinely like watching like an influencer, like a vlogger be like, and this is where I write legislation, and
Yeah,
this is where this is where my
yeah,
interns work.
yeah, and like literally, like this is where January 6th happened. I'm like, holy shit! I'm like,
I want a politician who like streams on Twitch, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Hassan Piker, if you're listening to this.
yeah, yeah. Press one if I should vote on this. Yeah, that's the
Oh
one.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving along, Amazon suspended 50 workers who refused to work after a warehouse fire. Gonna keep it brief. Aaron, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So, I mean, classic Amazon making you work right after a, natural disaster. Yeah, I guess one thing that's important to mention is that this is no ordinary Amazon warehouse. This is JK8, which is the only unionized warehouse at Amazon. So that's the one in Staten Island where like Christian Smalls came from and where all the hype has been. So yeah, part of me when I read this was like, oh shit, was this set on fire on purpose, like an arson kind of thing? Or, was it an accident that just happened to be at the most politicized warehouse in America?
I mean, look, you got all the things you need to start a fire probably in that warehouse,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
And you
that's
probably
true.
find a flamethrower in that warehouse.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah. We got the wood on aisle 12 and the flamethrower
Right.
aisle 3. Yeah. That's so funny. That's true. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the slightly silver lining is that these workers, they were not fired at least for refusing to work right after the fire. They were suspended with pay, I guess, while this whole thing goes on. But hopefully, I mean, in my mind, I'm like, I can see Amazon using this as a secret retaliation measure, and to try to get them fired after suspending them with pay
Oh, I
somehow,
see what
some
you're saying.
way. But TBD.
Yeah, you didn't want to work after the warehouse caught on fire. You're a bad worker. You're fired.
Yeah. You don't want to fuck up your lungs with ashes and soot. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how Amazon is affording to do this, I guess. Because there was like that whole thing, like people, there were like some studies done where Amazon warehouses were like really unsafe to work in.
Yeah.
Like they were like injured, workers were injured at like double the rate, I think, of like a typical worker or
Mm.
something like that. Which is, yeah. So a fire, not good.
Yeah, I mean, dude, when I think ashes and soot, I think about chimney sweepers, back when
Oh,
we had
yeah,
them. I'm like,
yeah.
yo, that shit sounds terrible. And that, like, you gotta breathe in soot all the time. But yeah, I think on a larger picture, it's partially just because worker protections and, unionized labor and all that stuff, it's like at an all-time like low right now. Like
Yeah.
it's increasing. But it's like Amazon in part knows it can do all this because all it'll get is a slap on the wrist.
I mean, yeah, because they fucking own everything.
Yeah.
Like they just bought a hospital, not really a hospital system, but like they just acquired One Medical. So now they're
Yeah.
gonna get into healthcare, and soon they're gonna offer a better like healthcare service than like Medicare, Medicaid, and partner with the government. It's downhill from here.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see how this goes. I mean, one of the people who organized this walkout was Connor Spence, who is also the secretary treasurer for the Amazon Labor Union. It makes sense that the people who care about workers would also be the one to organize a walkout, protesting unsafe work conditions. But hopefully he does not get fired from this in retaliation.
I remember there was this report. Amazon apparently employs 1.5 million people around the world, which, like, okay, around the world, but if you think about it, New York has like a population of 8 million people. So if you get on the subway in the morning and there's at least 8 people on your car, that means like one of you guys works at Amazon, which is really wild to think about.
Yeah, one and then a half a person afterward. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
just
a
the
lot
legs.
of people. Yeah, just legs. Yeah, that's a lot of people to think about. Yeah, I was reading that they are the second largest employer in the world, right behind Walmart. For now, at least. Yeah, it's a lot of people, and I really hope that their working conditions increase, as especially as the holidays come up. That's a big thing.
Yeah, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then the Christmas holiday shopping, all that. I remember reading that they're only gonna give like a wage bonus of like $1 an hour, an extra dollar an hour.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just wild to think about. Just like because that same report that was like, oh, there's like a Amazon employs 1.5 million people. It says that they would churn through all the available workforce by 2024.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insanity. Like you can't hire anyone else because you've hired everyone. Like
Yeah.
that's bonkers.
Yeah, you're the world's most popular employer, yeah, but also the least nice one. Yeah.
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 Well,
I read a thing that was like that says like Amazon does this nefarious practice where they're like, "Oh yeah, we make so many jobs. Like we have 1.5 million people employed." But what they don't talk about is like how fast the turnover is.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's I don't know. They do have a pretty progressive hiring process though. If you do work for the warehouse, which I think is like how they get so many workers. Apparently, you don't need a resume or any job experience, and the process is like automated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I can see that, but yeah, then it goes downhill after you're in. That's
yeah.
that's the catch.
Downhill
Yeah,
after that.
but yeah, always good to keep. I mean, I always like looking at JK8, just because it's like the Amazon place to focus on and where it all started. So yeah, always interested in seeing what's going to happen next.
Yeah, because Jeff Bezos fucking sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. And that is our episode for this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support us, the best thing you can do right now is give us 5 stars on Apple or Spotify. Takes about, 10 seconds to do. If you want to follow us on social media, you can check us out on Instagram at Politically Asian Podcast and on Twitter at Politic Asian Pod. All right. Thanks for listening and bye.
Bye.